Today's video might not be the right video for most of you. You're more in danger of learning woodworking today than looking at anything from astronomy. This is a control box I made, well, this one must have been the original one from my original channel, maybe now 15 years ago. Today we're going to make a new one, and the new one is going to carry the control computer, which is for the Spain, for the remote system, but more importantly it's got to support a switch. And this is actually the biggest component that I've got to put into this control box, and that is an Ethernet switch. This is an Ethernet switch, which is one that's recommended for use at the site, and that has to go into the control box. With that we'll start to measure up, because of course the computer is the main thing. It's got to support USBs either side, and I've got to make sure I've got enough space for everything to fit into this new control box. So that's what we'll be doing today, making this control box. So this is the mini PC that I'll be using, this Minix Z100, and it needs to be able to have a USB port plugged in either side of it with enough room to allow the cables to bend quite nicely, especially when you're going to be installing this in potentially a cold environment. The last thing you want is these cables to have too much stress on them and potentially crack. So you see I just measured that, and that comes to 24. What I'll do, I'll make that 26. Essentially the height's going to be determined by this Ethernet switch that I showed you. This is the biggest item. And again, in one of these cold environments up a mountain, the last thing you want is these things open to all the elements. Using the triplex to build this box out of, to provide some strength and insulation to these electronic components. So that is 44, so 45. We need to allow for all this. To be mounted. So two power supplies, two 12-volt power supplies, because they want to have independently be able to switch the mount and the rig off independently, just to make sure that that is possible. I put a fuse box, a car fuse box. So I've got a car fuse box to fuse them separately, some switches and cables, and some Ethernet ports to wire through to make it easy to connect this system, and the rest is just cables. Set up the table saw. You can use a normal saw for this, but I like using a table saw. Guarantees a bit more accuracy, I suppose. Then we said the height will be 45, so we have 120 here, so make it 46. That means we'll get probably both tops out of one piece. Is 27. Yeah, we'll go for that. I think at this point you get the picture, and I'll probably bring you back in once I've actually made the box itself, and then we can look at the design and layout, how the components are all going to fit. Okay, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I have a completed control box next to me. The video has taken quite a while to complete, and I wanted to get this out before I go off to Pradines, France. So this coming week I'm off to the south of France to do some astronomy. Hopefully we'll have some great clear nights, and I'll be able to shoot some great content, hopefully for from Pradines to show my channel in the coming weeks. Anyway, back to the control box. Here it is in front of me. Now, before I show you this, I think I did say when I was building this, I had one limitation, and that was the size of the Ethernet switch that the remote site in Astrocamp, Spain requires me to use. That is one of the things that's determined the size of this box. The other thing is my tools. I have some great tools, to be honest with you. I've built them up over years, but my son recently moved in with his girlfriend to a new house, and I forgot that a lot of my tools, well, one particular tool that I needed was still at his house. Anybody who does any woodworking of any kind will know that using routers creates a hell of a lot of dust. And I don't mean Ethernet routers, I mean woodworking routers. So I wasn't able to film that. So let's just discuss the box. The box is made out of triplex. That's basically laminated plywood. It's beautiful stuff to work with. It's easy to work with. It's strong. It's lightweight, and it's flat. Basically, when it's laminated up, you get these lovely pieces of flat wood, and in general, the wood itself looks really, really nice. Now, one of the things I do when I'm making these boxes, I'm a European. I have a European garage, not one of these massive American garages. So, and of course, it's full of the usual junk. I'd love it to be my own garage where I could be more organised, although my wife will tell you that will never happen. Anyway, my garage is full of the usual junk, so it's difficult to work and move around in there. So I was unable to film, also because of dust, lacking my Hoover to keep that dust under control, to show you how I make these joints. What I do is I accept my limitations. I accept my limitations in space, limitations in organisation, and what I do when I'm making these boxes, I route a flat here in the corner. Okay, now that I'm zoomed into this corner joint, I think you can see what I've done here is I've routed a flat 12mm, because it's 12mm thick plywood, along the flat of this edge, and it's almost 3/4 of the depth of the top plywood, so around about 8 to 9mm. But that leaves me this nice flat here to butt up against to make the glue joint, and then I can pin the top of the box and allow the glue to set up and go off. And that's basically how I make sure that I build pretty decent, pretty strong, square boxes for these types of constructions. Now, with a bit more planning or organisation, or the tools to hand, I would have effectively already pre-planned these shelf units and routed a little slot along the length of this, and not made this full box. But in the end, I thought, you know, it'll add to the stability of the thing, and it's going to go remote in Spain anyway, so it needs to be strong and protect the components. So I built it as it is, and you just have to accept the design choices and get on with it and make it. So this is it. What we have here, the bottom here is a power stage. I want to pay special attention to the power stage, because here I've also made some significant choices. You can see I have two power supplies. These are Meanwell power supplies, industrial units that I consider to be of good quality with very little ripple. They're excellent. They're also 10 amp. So just one of these power supplies could power my whole system in Spain. I don't need the two, but what I've done is I've put two in here for redundancy. So if one of these should fail, this unit here on the end, which I 3D printed, the power distribution unit, can be used, so that can be reconfigured so that just one of these two power supplies could then power the complete system. Also, what you can see here is I've split the power units, but this is more of a, I don't want to say demand, a requirement from the site was the ability to split the mount and imaging systems into two sides so that they can be switched through the Ethernet switch independently. So here you can see the mount, then the camera system. They come through this power distribution unit, which also has two switches on there. So if somebody is locally there and wants to be able to reset the system, or needs to reset the system, let's say, then there are two switches here on this power distribution unit that I built, and you'll see the 3D print of that happening and the wiring of this unit in the video. Another choice I made here. Normally I would go for glass fuses, but I thought, you know, if you're struggling in the middle of the night to change a fuse and you're looking and you drop a glass fuse on the floor, well, that will be very difficult to find. So what I've gone for is the normal car fuses. This is not quite correct. From the color coding here, for those that you know, I need to replace them all, but there's two banks effectively. What top bank is wired into the mount, the bottom bank is wired into the imaging system, but only one fuse is wired up at the moment, and those two need to be 5 amp fuses, because that's more than enough for both those sides of the system. But I chose the car fuses because they're nice, bright, flat, colourful, easy to handle, and I figured if someone dropped one in the middle of the night, if they needed to change one, certainly if it was me thinking about myself, a nice, bright, colour-coded car fuse would be far better than a clear glass fuse. That would be typical. You can also see that I'm labelling all these cables, so camera, mount. Some of the labels are not on yet. I'm waiting for one more cable so I can split the network adapter and the computer. I've chosen not to go with the Miele Quieter 4C. I put the Minix 100Z in here because I think for this particular application it's a better choice. But what I've also done is put an Ethernet, wired all the Ethernet, so you don't plug into the router here, the Ethernet router, you plug here, so it's one connection to the whole box to get this, let's say, subnet up and running. So that makes it easy, hopefully, for the site to be able to obviously commission this box, and then for any potential fault finding that may need to happen in the future. So that's another thing I've done, and again, it's clearly labelled there, Ethernet. This is your Ethernet connection. This switch is a recommended component by the site. This is what they wanted to use. They gave you a list of, I think, two or three switches you could choose. And this one was on sale on Amazon. So, and again, no affiliates to Amazon. No, there's no links, no sponsorship of any of this equipment here. This is equipment that I've chosen myself, or equipment with in the case of the power supplies that I have experience with on an industrial level. So with my job, I know they're good, reliable power supplies. Nothing here is sponsored. This is just equipment, as I promised from the very beginning on this channel. This is equipment that I use, have used, will use, and in this case, this is equipment that I intend to put remote. So with the best will and intentions in the world, when this goes remote, I'll probably never see it again, and I don't want to have any problems with it at all, because this is going to be what's driving my imaging system, the SQA106. That's it really. If there are any questions from anybody out there regarding the box, the choices, then let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. I won't be posting any videos for about at least 2 weeks, because as I say, I'll be in the south of France, hopefully imaging on the clear skies at 800, nearly 900 meters. So please wish me luck there, and hopefully I'll be able to shoot some great content for when I return that I can post up on the channel. So with that, I'll bring the video to an end, and I'll just, for the hell of it, well, it pleases me at least, I'll show you the Ethernet switch coming on and working. Okay, let's try that one more time without any interruptions, hopefully. And here we go. And now we can see the power. And it now cycles on. And via the Ethernet connection, of course, from the comfort of your office, I can cycle any one of these off as needed. Hopefully that won't be needed, but it's now possible.